up, Cookie Bears? I am making another sourdough loaf. This time, instead of it being completely whole wheat, we're actually gonna do a half and half. So half whole wheat, half AP flour. I just added 360 grams of distilled spring water. I don't know if distilled and spring are the same thing, but look, it's water. Added 360 grams of that. I'm gonna go ahead and do 250 grams of AP flour and 250 grams of whole wheat flour. We use King Arthur in this house. I just trust the brand quite a bit, so it is what it is. Gonna tear the scale and add in 250 grams, give or take. Dos más. There we go, 250 AP. Same thing, King Arthur. Whole wheat flour, on 250 of that as well. Now you may be wondering why we did 360 grams of water. Whole wheat flour takes up a lot of hydration. And so you wanna make sure that you're balancing the hydration with having both types of flour in there. I don't wanna overdo it. I'm gonna have to scoop this out. I'm gonna be mad. There we go. All right, so we're gonna let this autolyze. You just wanna make sure that the flour is absorbing the water. I'm gonna leave out my starter and the salt for now. And then after about 30, 45 minutes, I'm gonna add both, and then we're gonna knead the dough. Now, this is my first time making a half and half loaf. I'm not even gonna sit up here and act like I've been making so much sourdough in my life. Like, I'm just now getting into the practice of it, and honestly, it's an art, it's a science, and that's what makes me love it so much. Now, at first, when I was combining my flour and my water, I really thought that it wasn't supposed to be necessarily like a dough-like texture yet. I thought it would maybe be like more watery, but this is my second loaf, and it's definitely just like very dough-like. You just want to make sure you don't need to necessarily knead it right now or anything like that, just because we're going to do stretch and folds after the autolyze stage. And like, you just want to make sure that there's no more like visible flour, like just dry out there. Wooden utensils often help me with that personally, but each is his own. Just a little bit dry flour at the bottom. I'm gonna just kind of like toss the dough over it because my hands are always better than this thing. Just gonna grab it. Come on, you butter. Do what I say. Okay, so she's looking like this. This is what she's currently looking like. We're gonna let that rest covered for 30 to 45 minutes just to make sure that it doesn't dry out. And then I have my beautiful active starter here who is ready to explode because she is at her peak, okay? And we're gonna add 100 grams of that and 10 grams of salt. We're back. So I am transferring her to a different bowl just because I want to make another loaf. I believe I have more than enough starter, and like, I don't have all the equipment that I want yet, y'all, okay? So we just gonna transfer her. Make sure you wet your hands because clearly I did not, y'all. Okay. Turn on the scale. I just did my locks, so open sesame. 100 grams of active starter. I mean, honestly, this makes me so happy. Took me 2 weeks to get an active starter. Do y'all hear me? Ah. I'm gonna stick my finger in there. Mwahaha. Got enough. Probably have to feed her for another batch. So no matter what, I always like to have 20 to 30 grams of starter in general, for myself. I usually feed my sourdough starter 1 to 2, depending on how fast I need it to be done. I'm just gonna add salt, 10 grams of salt, and there we go. Now, you simply just knead it and fold it on top of itself until the starter has completely basically dissolved. You don't want it to be like too liquidy when you're going through the stretch and folds, and you'll see the gluten develop more and more as you get through them. We've reached the time for our first stretch and fold. I write down all of my recipes and everything in my book. My honey calls it my grimoire. So yeah, we're gonna do our first stretch and fold. Make sure that you wet your hands. And I'm actually making a second loaf, all AP flour. So before I even get too excited about anything else, let me go ahead. I need to cover 500 grams of AP flour, 350 grams of water. For some reason, I like to add the water first. I'm just experimenting. You do what you want. Okay. There. Gonna tear the scale. Arthur flour again. I will say measuring in grams for baking has been way more fun than measuring in cups, just because like I get really messy. There we go. All right, so same concept. We're gonna auto lyse this stage. I know I've been reading a lot of reviews. Some people like this stage, some people don't. I'm just gonna stick with the textbook things until I have a good idea about it, guys. So I'm just gonna mix until there's no more dry flour left. Now I will say I'm very excited about this particular loaf just because I'm looking for that nice spring in the oven. More than likely, because it's already 3:49 in the afternoon, I'm going to cold proof this loaf, but the half and half loaf, I'm not gonna cold proof. I'm just gonna shape and probably let it rest for an hour and a half, score her, and then bake her. Why not? Make sure if you have any excess flour that wants to like stick to the side of your bowl, you just try to get it off. All the flour counts in these recipes. Oh yeah, you look good. Yep, come on off, be good to me. This loaf already looks like way different than the whole wheat. I mean, I know they're different colors, guys, but goodness. All right, so I just kind of go in. This is a very tacky dough. So you just kind of want to grab it, swerve it around the bowl. Like I said, we just want to gently pick up any dried flour. So you see it's just some around the bowl, so I'm just trying to get that. Now some of it, y'all, it's just gonna stick, okay? I'm not done with that today. All right, we're gonna let her sit for 30 minutes before we stretch and fold. All right, and in the words of Casey or Cassie, she's one of like the coolest food influencers on the net right now. Enjoy all of her recipes. Her famous motto is love her and leave her alone. Cover it. Yep. No matter what, guys, you always want to make sure everything's covered. SpongeBob squeaky boots ass sound. Here is our first stretch and fold for our half and half loaf. I'm gonna wet my hands. And you're gonna see the gluten develop as we go. So I'm gonna pull, stretch, boom. Stretch. Now don't worry if you feel like at this stage with like the first 1 or 2 stretch and folds that the dough is kind of coming apart. Remember that gluten is developing and you just want to allow it to do so. Perfect. We're gonna love her again, leave her alone. A lot of this is at room temperature. I believe my house is at 72 degrees right now. So y'all know we're doing too many things at one time. I have my total AP loaf that I have to now add 100 grams of starter and 10 grams of salt to. So let's do that first. Let's tear the scale. When I say, I really hope this is 100 grams of starter. We're gonna find out today. I'm scared. We're at 53 so far. Okay. God didn't do me crusty. Okay. 4 more grams. 4 more grams. That's it. And it was. When I tell y'all that was God, look at that. If you guys are baking at home, any sourdough, you know sourdough starter will follow you. 10 grams of salt. Voila. All right. Thankfully, no more measuring. No more doing anything. Now we do the fun part. Remember, wet your hands. You're just gonna fold the starter in until it's completely in there. Wow, this is a much tackier dough than the whole wheat. It's interesting. Same thing with this. Make sure that if there's starter that wants to cling to the side of the bowl, you grab her. No one's safe. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm thinking about making some homemade pesto. Going to get some black pepper turkey from the butcher. I'm about to start calling Sammy's Preacher Boys. Almost there. Just have a little bit that's trying to cling to the side of the bowl. Perfect. I don't want to overwork her. I just want to make sure it's fully combined. I'm gonna cover this for its first stretch and fold, and then we're actually gonna go ahead and do the second stretch and fold for our half and half loaf. Bulk fermenting like at the same damn time. I'm gonna be baking late tonight. I can tell. It's totally fine. I'm hoping that I can get a nap in while it's bulk fermenting on the counter. Fingers and toes crossed. I didn't get a chance to film everything else from yesterday, so they're done. So we have the 50-50 half and half loaf. This is half whole wheat, half regular flour. And then this is cold proofed. This one was not cold proofed overnight. This one was, and she's a little flat. They've been a little flat. I definitely have to get better with my shaping, don't get me wrong, but she's pretty. Now, biggest test is actually cutting them open. So I'm gonna start with a half and half. I've been waiting to cut this open since last night. She has a good crust. Oh, nice. Look at her. Developed, nice, airy. Really excited to try it. This is the one, if I'm being honest, I'm most excited for. Please. Oh, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. Look at her. Now, I do have to cut me off a little piece of both. Just because I made homemade pesto. I need to try it. I need to try it, and what better way to try it than with this? So, number one. You can see the difference in the two, just how they look. color, texture. This one's a bit softer. This one's a bit more dense. You just bite the bread first. Yo. And I can double dip. This is my house. I don't have words. Cut the camera, cut the show. I'll drop the recipe below.